The Galactic Council's plan. The Galactic Council sat in their towering command room, a place of power and authority that stretched far beyond the reaches of any single star system. This room was where decisions were made, decisions that shaped the very fate of countless worlds. A round table sat at the center, where the leaders of different alien races gathered. They were the best minds in the galaxy, and they had seen many things, but today was different. A quiet murmur spread through the room as the council discussed the latest developments in the galaxy. On the screens before them, they saw human ships moving into deep space. The humans had begun to explore beyond their own solar system. They were bold, ambitious, and quick to adapt. This worried the council. "Humans," said T. Laura, a sleek and sharp-eyed representative of the Earth race, "are growing faster than we anticipated. We cannot allow them to spread further into the galaxy. Their potential is dangerous." She spoke with a calm, steady voice, but there was a hint of concern in her tone. The humans had shown great promise, and that made them a threat. A towering figure, Orak, the representative of the Gormek, leaned forward. His voice boomed with authority. "We've faced many races over the years, and none have been able to challenge our supremacy. But these humans, these creatures, they are different. They do not fear us. They keep pushing forward, as if they have no regard for the established order." The council listened in silence, the weight of the words settling over them like a heavy cloud. The humans were unpredictable. Unlike other races that bowed to the authority of the council, humans didn't seem to understand the importance of hierarchy or submission. They were fiercely independent, and that made them dangerous. One of the council's oldest members, a being called Eldar, who had lived through countless conflicts and crises, spoke slowly. His voice echoed with centuries of wisdom. "We've seen this before. Races that rise too quickly, they end up destabilizing everything. We cannot let humanity become a power that threatens our control over the galaxy. It will only lead to chaos." The council debated for hours, their voices growing louder and more urgent. The consensus was clear. Humanity had to be stopped before it could grow too powerful. Their ships were already moving through the stars, claiming new territories, exploring alien worlds. The council couldn't allow this kind of unchecked progress. The humans had to be made to understand that their place was small, and they were not welcome in the greater galaxy. After much discussion, they agreed on a plan. A fleet of the most advanced ships in the galaxy, led by the Council's best commanders, would confront the human ships head-on. They would show humanity their place. They would make it clear that there was a line they should not cross. The fleet would block the human ships from exploring further and demand that they stop their dangerous activities. If the humans refused, then force would be used. "The time for diplomacy is over," said T. Laura. "We must act quickly. Our fleets will be ready to intercept them within a matter of days." A few members of the council were hesitant. They knew that the humans, though unseasoned in galactic politics, were incredibly resourceful. Their technology had grown at an exponential rate in recent years, and they had a surprising knack for adapting to unfamiliar situations. Still, the council believed that their power would be enough to crush the human fleet and force them into submission. Orak's voice once again echoed through the room. "We will show them who is in charge. Their defiance will be met with swift punishment. Let them learn their place in the galaxy." But Eldar, the wise one, was not so sure. He had seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. His experience told him that underestimating an enemy could be a fatal mistake. "We must not treat this lightly," he cautioned. "Humans may surprise us. They have a history of fighting back against impossible odds. We cannot afford to let them believe they can challenge us, but we must be careful. A misstep could lead to unintended consequences." Despite Eldar's warning, the plan moved forward. The Council's fleet would launch its attack and engage the human ships in a way they would never forget. Their message would be clear. This was not humanity's galaxy to explore. They were intruders, and they would learn their place. As the meeting ended, the leaders of the council felt a strange unease. They had done what they believed was necessary to protect the galaxy from what they saw as a growing threat. Yet, in the back of their minds, a nagging doubt lingered. The humans were unlike any race they had ever encountered before. They were unpredictable, and that made them dangerous. Little did they know, the humans were not the weak, fragile beings the Council believed them to be. The humans had a unique strength, something that would take the Galactic Council by surprise. But for now, the stage was set, and the first encounter between the humans and the Council's mighty fleet was about to unfold. The galaxy was about to witness a confrontation unlike any other. The human fleet. Far away, in the depths of space, a human fleet moved swiftly through the stars. It was a small fleet by galactic standards, only a few ships, but each one was packed with courage and ambition. These humans were explorers, adventurers, with a deep desire to push beyond the boundaries of their known world. Captain Aaron Grant stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vanguard. The ship was a marvel of human engineering, sleek, fast, and designed for exploration, not combat. But the crew aboard the Vanguard were ready for anything. They had already faced countless challenges in their travels, from unknown hazards of space to dangerous encounters with hostile life forms. But nothing could prepare them for what lay ahead. Grant paced back and forth, glancing at the crew who were focused on their tasks. He was a man of few words, but his presence commanded respect. His crew trusted him, and that trust had taken them through the darkest parts of the galaxy. He was a symbol of human resilience, someone who would never back down, no matter how impossible the situation seemed. The communication officer, Lieutenant Rosa Diaz, looked up from her console with a concerned expression. "Captain, we detected strange readings up ahead. There's something out there." Grant's eyes narrowed. He had been expecting something like this. The galaxy was vast, and humans were newcomers to it. There were always dangers, things lurking in the darkness of space. But this felt different. "What kind of readings?" he asked, his voice calm but serious. Diaz's fingers flew across the controls, bringing the data up on the main screen. "It's a fleet, but it's not human. There are at least a dozen ships, and they're massive, Captain. These aren't just scouts. They're warships." A murmur ran through the crew. They had faced dangers before, but never anything like this. The human fleet had been built for exploration, not for fighting. Grant took a deep breath. This was it. The moment every leader feared. A challenge they had never expected to face. The unknown. "Raise shields and prepare for communication," Grant ordered. "We'll find out who they are and what they want." On the view screen, the alien ships loomed large, their designs unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Sleek, dark, and intimidating, their size alone was enough to make even the most seasoned officer feel a sense of dread. But Captain Grant wasn't like the others. He stood tall, unshaken. He had seen the human spirit in action before, and he knew his crew would not falter. As the alien fleet drew closer, a message came through. The voice on the other end was cold, distant. It sounded like it came from the very heart of the galaxy, a place where only the powerful could survive. "Human ships, you are entering restricted space. Turn back immediately or face the consequences." Grant stood motionless, his eyes locked on the screen. His crew awaited his response, the tension building in the air. He knew the stakes were high. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was a test of human will. If they backed down now, it would be a sign of weakness. But if they stood their ground, they might just prove to the galaxy that humanity was not a race to be underestimated. "We don't back down," Grant said quietly, almost to himself. His words, simple yet powerful, echoed through the bridge. "We never have." He turned to Diaz, who was still monitoring the alien transmission. "Tell them we won't retreat," he said firmly. "Tell them humanity will not be cowed by threats. If they want us to leave, they'll have to make us." Diaz nodded, her hands shaking slightly as she prepared the response. The moment of truth was fast approaching. The rest of the crew watched in silence, knowing that what happened next would change everything. She sent the message, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "This is Captain Aaron Grant of the human fleet. We do not fear your threats. We will not turn back. If you want us to leave, you'll have to make us. We will not be intimidated." For a moment, there was silence. Then the alien ships moved, their engines humming to life as they adjusted their course. They weren't backing down either. The tension between the two fleets grew thicker by the second, the vast expanse of space feeling smaller with every heartbeat. Grant's hand hovered over the command console. The decision was his, but the human fleet had already made up its mind. They were ready to show the galaxy that humanity would never be intimidated, that they would fight for their place in the stars, no matter the odds. "Prepare for battle," Captain Grant ordered. His voice was calm, but there was fire in it. "Let's show them what humans are made of." The crew nodded in unison, the spark of determination igniting in their eyes. They were ready to face whatever came next, even if it meant defying the entire Galactic Council. The first contact. The human fleet drifted silently through the vast emptiness of space, unaware that their fate was about to change forever. The tension on board the Vanguard was palpable. The crew's hands hovered over their consoles, ready for anything. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the entire universe were holding its breath. Captain Grant stood at the helm, his mind focused, his gaze unwavering. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. The alien ships appeared out of nowhere, like shadows in the night, massive and imposing. The fleet of strange vessels filled the view screen, their sleek, angular designs unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The scale of these ships was beyond comprehension. Each one was larger than the human flagship itself. But it wasn't just their size that struck fear into the hearts of the crew. It was their power, their presence. Grant's voice broke the silence, calm but firm. "All hands, brace for contact. Raise shields, but don't fire unless ordered." The crew scrambled to follow his orders. The shields of the Vanguard hummed to life, a protective barrier against the unknown. The other human ships followed suit, their systems coming online in perfect sync. For the first time in years, the humans felt the weight of what it meant to stand on the edge of something monumental. This was no longer an exploration mission. It was a confrontation. The alien fleet moved in, a perfect formation of disciplined ships, their weapons pointed toward the human vessels. The leader of the alien ships, the largest and most formidable, emitted a strange signal, a direct communication to the human fleet. The bridge of the Vanguard flickered, and a voice, cold and calculating, filled the room. "Human ships, you are trespassing in restricted space. Leave now or face annihilation." The crew of the Vanguard froze. The message was clear. The aliens had no intention of negotiating. Captain Grant's jaw tightened, but he did not flinch. His crew waited for his response, all eyes on him. He knew this moment would define not only their mission but humanity's place in the galaxy. Grant stepped forward, meeting the aliens' threat with a calm that only came from a lifetime of challenges. "We're not leaving. If you want us to go, you'll have to make us." The alien voice echoed again, this time with a slight tremor of disbelief. "You dare defy us? You are nothing but a fledgling race, unworthy of your place in the stars. Turn back, or we will destroy you." The room fell into tense silence. There was no fear in Grant's eyes, no hesitation in his voice. He knew they were outmatched. The alien ships had firepower beyond anything humanity had, but that wouldn't stop him. They had something the aliens didn't understand: human resolve. "We don't back down," Grant said, his voice unwavering. "If you want to fight, you'll get one. But know this, we're not afraid to stand our ground." The alien fleet didn't respond immediately. For a few seconds, the silence was deafening. Then, as if in a synchronized motion, the alien ships shifted position, their weapons powering up. The stage was set. The humans had made their choice. The aliens would either leave them to explore the stars, or they would be forced to fight for their right to do so. The humans stood firm, their ships at the ready, but they knew that this moment would either mark their victory or their destruction. There would be no middle ground. The fate of humanity in the galaxy rested on their shoulders. As the alien fleet advanced, Grant's voice rang out across the ship. "Prepare for combat. This is what we've been training for. Stay sharp and remember why we're here. We are humans. We will not bow to anyone." The crew responded with a unified cheer, their fear replaced by determination. They were ready to fight, to prove that humanity belonged in the galaxy, that they could stand tall in the face of impossible odds. This was their first test in the vastness of space, and they would not fail. The alien ships moved closer, their weapons aimed at the human fleet. But Captain Grant wasn't backing down. He wasn't afraid of the unknown. Instead, he felt something stronger, something that could only come from a race that had struggled and survived against all odds. The first shot rang out, breaking the tension in the cold vacuum of space. The battle for humanity's future had begun. Unexpected response. The alien fleet loomed over the human ships like a dark storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. The bridge of the Vanguard was alive with activity. Crew members were on high alert, preparing for the battle they all knew was coming. The tension was thick, and every second felt like an eternity. Yet in the midst of the growing chaos, Captain Grant remained calm, his eyes fixed on the view screen. His thoughts raced, but his expression betrayed no hint of fear. "All systems at maximum power," Grant ordered, his voice steady. "We won't let them take us down without a fight." The alien ships moved into formation, their weapons fully charged, their monstrous size imposing in the cold vacuum of space. The humans could feel the pressure mounting. Their ships were no match for the overwhelming force before them. Yet there was one thing the aliens didn't account for: humanity's refusal to back down. The alien leader spoke again, his voice cold and harsh, booming through the communication system. "Humans, your resistance is futile. Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. Defy us, and we will annihilate you." Grant's grip tightened on the console, but his eyes narrowed with determination. He knew the humans had little chance of survival if they fought head-on. But the Vanguard was fast, and the human ingenuity was something the aliens hadn't prepared for. "We don't surrender," Grant replied, his voice unwavering. "If you want us to retreat, you'll have to make us. But we're not going anywhere." As the alien fleet fired their first barrage of energy blasts, the crew braced for impact. The humans knew their shields wouldn't hold for long against the overwhelming firepower, but just as the blasts began to rain down, something unexpected happened. The Vanguard dodged the first wave of fire with a sudden burst of speed, its engines roaring to life with a power the alien ships couldn't anticipate. The human ship zipped through space with incredible agility, narrowly avoiding the destructive beams of energy. The alien fleet hesitated. This wasn't supposed to happen. The humans, in their fragile ships, should have been easy targets. Instead, they had evaded the first strike with a move that caught the alien commanders off guard. For a moment, the alien ships faltered, unsure of what to do next. The Vanguard wasn't just running. It was moving with purpose. Captain Grant's eyes locked onto the alien ships, studying their movements. He had seen this before. An enemy that relied on overwhelming force, expecting fear to control the battlefield. But the humans weren't afraid. They were adapting. They were using their brains, their quick thinking, and the most important asset they had, human creativity. "Turn on the countermeasures," Grant ordered. "We'll give them something they won't expect." The crew quickly activated the ship's defensive systems. The Vanguard launched a series of decoy drones, each one designed to confuse the alien targeting systems. At the same time, they fired a blast from their own weapons, not aimed to destroy, but to distract, to create chaos in the enemy ranks. The alien fleet reacted with confusion. Their advanced targeting systems couldn't lock on properly to the fast-moving Vanguard. The drones scattered, disrupting the alien ship's formations. The human fleet, though outgunned, was using every advantage they had: speed, agility, and the willingness to fight back. The alien leader growled in frustration. These creatures, they are not like the others. For the first time since the confrontation began, the alien fleet hesitated. It was a small moment, but it was enough. The humans weren't following the rules. They weren't cowering in fear. They were fighting back, and they were doing it in ways the alien forces hadn't anticipated. In the heart of the vanguard, Captain Grant allowed himself a small, knowing smile. The humans weren't just surviving. They were outwitting their much stronger enemies. This was what humanity did best. They didn't have the might of the Council's ships, but they had something far more powerful: their resilience, their ability to think outside the box, and their refusal to ever give up. "Keep them guessing," Grant commanded. "Keep moving. We're not letting up." The alien fleet, now on edge, tried to adjust to the unexpected human tactics. But the humans were always one step ahead. The battle was no longer just about firepower. It was about wits, about outsmarting the enemy, and making sure that the invaders knew exactly who they were dealing with. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They thought the humans would crumble under pressure. But now the vanguard and its fleet were showing them the true power of the human spirit, a power the Council had failed to understand. The response wasn't just unexpected. It was a statement. The humans weren't just here to explore. They were here to stay. And they weren't going to let anyone, no matter how powerful, push them out. The tension builds. The tension in the cold vacuum of space was thicker than ever. The battle raged on, with the alien fleet firing relentlessly, their weapons crackling through the silence of space, while the human ships darted and dodged in ways their adversaries couldn't predict. The vanguard was at the heart of it all, dancing through the blasts with a skill and agility that seemed almost impossible for such a relatively small and fragile ship. Yet, despite their best efforts, the alien fleet was closing in. It was only a matter of time before the human ship's shields were overwhelmed. On the bridge of the vanguard, Captain Grant stood still, his eyes sharp as he observed the chaotic scene unfolding on the view screen. His hands gripped the console, his mind working faster than ever. The battle wasn't going the way the aliens had expected, but that didn't mean the humans were winning. The alien ships were relentless, their firepower unmatched. The humans had outsmarted them once, but now they were running out of time and options. "How long until their shields fail?" Grant asked, not turning away from the screen. 5 minutes, Captain," Lieutenant Diaz replied, her voice tight with concern. "We can't keep this up forever." Grant nodded, his mind racing. They were in a dangerous position. The humans might be quick, but their ships were still fragile. They couldn't take many more hits like the ones coming at them. Yet even as the odds stacked higher against them, he refused to back down. "We need to turn the tide," Grant said, more to himself than to anyone else. He knew there was no easy way out of this. But if there was one thing he'd learned about humanity, it was that they never gave up, even when the odds were stacked against them. And this fight wasn't over. Not yet. His eyes flicked to the tactical display, where a new line of energy readings popped up. The alien fleet was regrouping, their ships pulling back slightly, as though they were preparing for a final push. A final assault that would break the humans' defenses once and for all. But something about their formation seemed off. It was almost too perfect. "Wait," Grant said, his voice a whisper barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. "They're setting a trap." Diaz's eyes widened as she processed the data. "They're going to concentrate all their firepower on us, Captain. They're preparing to overwhelm us with everything they've got." The moment the realization hit, the entire bridge seemed to hold its breath. The aliens were making their move, and it was going to be massive. Every human ship would be in the line of fire, and even their superiors. Diaz hesitated for only a second before nodding. "Aye, Captain." As the vanguard veered toward the heart of the alien fleet, Grant's crew scrambled to execute the plan. The ship's engines roared to life, pushing the ship forward with incredible speed. The rest of the human ships followed, their movements synchronized, forming a daring path straight into the center of the alien formation. The alien ships reacted immediately, opening fire, but the humans were too fast. The Vanguard dipped and weaved through the blast zones, the hull shaking with every near miss. It was a desperate move, but Grant knew they couldn't afford to play it safe. They had to push the aliens to make a decision, to make them doubt their ability to defeat the humans easily. The alien fleet's commander, who had been confident up until now, seemed to falter as the human ships barreled toward him. He had expected the humans to be predictable. He had expected them to run, to cower in fear. But they weren't. They were charging forward, a defiant statement to everything the Galactic Council believed about humanity. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. That moment of hesitation, brief as it was all the humans needed. The Vanguard fired a concentrated blast directly at the command ship, a quick, well-placed strike that temporarily disabled their flagship's shields. The aliens tried to regroup, but it was too late. The human fleet pushed forward with renewed strength, taking advantage of the opening they had created. They were no longer reacting to the alien attacks. They were making their own moves, forcing the enemy to play catch-up. For a brief second, the alien fleet's perfect formation broke, their ships scattering as they tried to regain control. The humans had given them something they hadn't expected: unpredictability. And in the chaos that followed, the tide of the battle started to shift. The humans were no longer just defending. They were striking back, fighting with a ferocity that stunned the alien commanders. In the heart of the battle, Grant's eyes shone with resolve. The humans weren't just surviving. They were taking control of their destiny. The turn of the tide. In the vast emptiness of space, the battle raged on, the once overwhelming alien fleet now visibly strained. The Vanguard and the human ships had pushed the limits of what anyone thought possible. Despite being outgunned and outclassed, they had fought back with a tenacity that was impossible to ignore. But as the alien ships regrouped, a new challenge emerged. The humans had taken their best shot, and now their shields were almost depleted. It was only a matter of time before the alien fleet would launch a decisive attack to finish them off. Captain Grant stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes locked on the view screen. His mind was racing, but outwardly he was calm, focused. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about proving to the galaxy that humanity wasn't something to be dismissed, that they were a force in the stars, not to be underestimated. The alien commander, having regained control over his fleet, sent a chilling message through the comms, his voice dripping with disdain. "You have fought well, human, but it ends here. Your resistance is futile. Prepare to be eradicated." Grant's heart tightened. He knew that the alien fleet was readying their final assault, and this time they would unleash everything they had. The humans couldn't dodge their way out of this one. The alien fleet would no longer hesitate. But there was something that Grant saw on the horizon, something that the aliens couldn't possibly anticipate. "Captain, their ships are locking onto us," Lieutenant Diaz reported, her voice tense. "They're preparing for a final strike. We can't outrun them anymore." Grant turned, his face steely. There was no escaping this. The odds were stacked higher than ever, but the humans had something the aliens lacked, something they couldn't quantify: their adaptability, their refusal to accept defeat. "Rosa," Grant said, his voice steady, "set course for their flagship. We're going to hit them where it hurts." The crew exchanged glances, confused. "Captain, are you suggesting we go straight into the heart of their fleet?" asked Lieutenant Diaz. "Exactly," Grant replied, a glint of confidence in his eyes. "We have one chance left. If we can disable their command ship, we can disrupt the entire fleet. The aliens have their orders, and without the flagship, they won't know how to act. They'll be thrown into chaos." The crew hesitated, but the sheer determination in Grant's voice gave them the courage to follow his lead. They didn't have time to question. It was time to act. With a sudden burst of speed, the Vanguard veered toward the core of the alien fleet. The alien ships fired upon them, but the Vanguard danced between their blasts, narrowly avoiding destruction. The human ship pushed forward, cutting through the oncoming fire like a comet through the night. "Now fire the main cannons," Grant shouted. His voice rang through the bridge like a battle cry. The ship's weapons fired with incredible precision, targeting the heart of the alien flagship. The blast hit just as the Vanguard flew past the towering alien vessel, sending shockwaves rippling through space. The flagship's outer shields flickered before collapsing, its engines sputtering. The alien commander's voice cracked over the comms, now filled with rage and confusion. "Impossible. How are they?" he stammered, his voice laced with disbelief. The humans had done it. They had struck the heart of the alien fleet, and now the rest of the ships were disoriented, their coordination falling apart. The alien fleet's once perfect formation dissolved into chaos, their ships firing wildly, unsure of their orders. Without their flagship, the fleet was paralyzed, vulnerable. Grant's eyes locked onto the view screen as the once dominant alien ships faltered. His heart pounded with adrenaline, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Now, all ships, focus fire on their weaker ships. Take them out one by one." The humans attacked with precision, the Vanguard and the rest of the fleet picking off the alien ships that had been thrown into disarray. The humans were no longer the ones running. They were in control now. Each shot, each move was calculated, designed to strike at the heart of the alien fleet. The tables had turned. On the bridge of the Vanguard, the crew felt a surge of hope. For the first time, they weren't just surviving. They were winning. The once mighty alien fleet was no longer an unstoppable force. The humans had broken their command structure. And now, the aliens were reeling. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but it was too late. The human ships, emboldened by their success, pushed forward with renewed vigor. Grant's strategy had worked. The humans weren't just holding their ground. They were turning the tide of the battle in their favor. As the alien ships began to retreat, the crew of the Vanguard erupted in cheers. But Grant remained stoic, his mind already on the next phase of their mission. This wasn't over. Not yet. The humans had proven their worth, but the true test would come when the Galactic Council realized the threat they had underestimated. "Prepare for follow-up strikes," Grant said calmly, his voice cutting through the excitement. "We've won this battle, but the war is far from over." The galactic shift. The once mighty alien fleet now retreated into the cold emptiness of space, their ships scattered and disorganized. The Vanguard and the other human vessels followed closely, ready to deliver the final blow. But they were met with something unexpected: silence. The battle had turned in humanity's favor, and in the midst of the chaos, the alien ships, despite their strength, had faltered. Their once ironclad command structure was shattered. And in that silence, a new reality began to set in. Captain Grant stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, his eyes still locked on the view screen. The alien fleet, now broken and in full retreat, seemed almost defeated, but Grant wasn't celebrating. Not yet. There was still work to be done. The humans had won this battle, but the message needed to be clear. This wasn't just a victory, it was a declaration. "This battle isn't just about survival," Grant said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of everything they had fought for. "We've shown them that humanity is not to be underestimated. We don't bow to threats. We fight. We survive. And we win." Diaz looked at him, her eyes filled with awe. "Captain, we've done it. We've actually done it. We've turned them back." Grant nodded, his face grim but proud. "This is just the beginning. We've sent a message, but there's more to come. The Galactic Council will know we're here. They will know that humanity isn't just a passing curiosity. We're here to stay." As the Vanguard powered down its weapon systems, and the crew started to breathe easier. Grant's thoughts shifted to what lay ahead. The battle was won, but the war was just beginning. The Galactic Council, now embarrassed by their failure to crush the humans, would regroup. They would send more ships. But this time, humanity would be ready. This time, they wouldn't be caught off guard. "We need to send a message to the Council," Grant said, pacing slowly as the ship settled into a steady orbit. "We need them to know that we are not just defending our right to exist. We are fighting for our place in this galaxy." Lieutenant Diaz turned to him, a question in her eyes. "What do you mean, Captain?" Grant's gaze hardened, a fire burning in his eyes. "We will push forward. We'll keep exploring, keep expanding. We won't just defend our own. We'll make sure that every world we encounter knows that humanity's place in the stars is earned, not given." The crew of the Vanguard exchanged glances, understanding the weight of what Grant was saying. This wasn't just about fighting to survive. It was about proving that humanity had a rightful place in the galaxy, that they weren't some small, insignificant species to be swept aside. The message they had sent to the alien forces would echo through the stars, and it would change the way the galaxy viewed humankind. Back on the bridge, Grant watched the retreating alien fleet grow smaller on the screen. His mind flashed with visions of humanity's future, of new worlds to explore, new civilizations to meet, and challenges to overcome. They had taken their first steps into the galaxy, and there was no turning back now. Humanity had earned their right to be part of this vast, dangerous universe. "We've proven something today," Grant said, his voice firm. "But the real victory will come when we no longer need to fight for respect. We will make sure the galaxy knows what we're capable of." The crew nodded, their faces filled with pride. They had seen the aliens, who once considered humanity weak and insignificant, retreat in the face of their strength. They had shown the universe that they were not to be underestimated. This battle, though only one of many, would be a turning point for humanity in the stars. As the Vanguard set its course for new frontiers, Grant couldn't help but smile. The humans had proven something greater than just their strength. They had proven their spirit, their ability to rise, to adapt, and to fight when everything seemed lost. And now, the universe would have no choice but to recognize that humanity was no longer just a fledgling race. They were a force to be reckoned with. The human fleet continued its journey into the unknown, a new chapter in the story of humanity unfolding. They had shown the galaxy their power, their courage, and their unyielding will. The galaxy would never be the same again.